What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today is the Championship score predictions for match day 14. To say I'm frustrated is going to be an understatement. This is my third take because my microphone software keeps going wrong. So I'm probably slowly but surely starting to go insane a little bit, but I'm trying to stay calm right now. It's very late, it's 1 in the morning, and that's the time in the morning that I have to record these videos these days. But I'm still going to do my best to deliver this video before we see QPR play Reading. So that is what is happening right now. In terms of score predictions, guys, make sure you comment your score predictions as well in the comments down below. And I will update the prediction league soon. I'm getting a little bit backed up with all of that at the moment. There's so many games to try and catch up on. But the best way for you guys to find out of an update, it will be on the community tab. So guys, if you don't want to miss any single video I do or any community tab post I make, the best thing to actually see all of my things that I do on YouTube is hitting the notification bell next to the subscriber button. But whilst I say that, please also hit that red subscribe button if you've not done so. It does really help the growth of this channel. Please do hit that like button, as that really does help the growth of this channel as well. And in terms of sharing the channel as well, please also do that as well, as that really does help the growth of this channel as well. Closing in on 1,500 subscribers and even 2,000 subscribers as well, dare I say. So thank you guys as always for the terrific support of the channel. But without any further ado, let's start predicting this weekend's games for the Championship. Let's start off with QPR versus Reading. Now, this is third place versus fourth place, and I'm really intrigued to see the outcome of this one. QPR had a really good away win against Sheffield United. They've been the only team to beat Sheffield United at Bramall Lane so far this season. The potential injury or exclusion of Willock in this game could potentially be a concern, but what I did see in terms of that game, we saw definitely a lot of people stepping up and potentially good enough to fill within the boots of Chris Willock if he's not available. Reading did actually have a really good result midweek as well. They had a 1-1 draw against Norwich, so both teams had some really tough opposition in midweek, and both actually had a very positive result out of it as well. And if any one of them has a really good result here, it really puts them in a really good position within the top 6 at the moment. It's going to be really interesting to see if either one of them can actually maintain this momentum that they've got right now. In terms of predicting this game, I back QPR's attacking play a bit more, and I think the fact that they're at home may help as well. Reading have just naturally shocked everyone, so I wouldn't be surprised if I even get a result. But as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to QPR. I think they may just edge it based on the attacking momentum that they have. Even if they don't have Willock, I do think they still have enough options there. So I'll go for 2-1 QPR. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Birmingham versus Bristol City. Now, in terms of their midweek games, they both had the downside of, the results. Bristol City, let's start with them. They had a 0-0 draw with Coventry. It ends their losing streak. They actually had 3 defeats in a row, but they now winless in their last 4. And this was a Bristol City side that I probably got a bit carried away in terms of my updated predictions. I put them in the top 6, and now I really do regret it, because it does feel that streak element is still within them, and as a mentality thing that they really got to try and overcome in future seasons. Birmingham had a defeat against Middlesbrough. Of course, they were playing with a bit of a managerial bounce since Chris Wilder got departed a couple of days before that game. So it was evident that Middlesbrough definitely upped their game a little bit there and kind of played for the team there. And Birmingham were on the receiving end of that. In terms of predicting this game, I think it's going to be really tight. I'm really undecided how I feel about both these teams going into this game. Both have got great potential in their areas. Birmingham, I like their signings. I think they've really improved them. Bristol City, I like their attack this season. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think both teams will cancel each other out. I think we definitely would see a really good contest between those two teams here. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Blackburn going up against Rotherham. Now, this is going to be intriguing. Blackburn had a very bad performance against Cardiff, in my opinion. It was a very dull game. I watched them in the watch-along between them and Cardiff. Cardiff edged out with a 1-0 win. First half, they were non-existent in a way. They didn't really test Cardiff at all. they conceded their goal, and since then was when Blackburn tried to really get anything there. They did have a good chance when they actually had a penalty in the 95th minute, but George Hurst misses the penalty, and because of that, Blackburn went empty-handed. Football is a cruel sport, but to be honest, based on how they played, I don't really think they even deserved a draw, to be honest. Rotherham, obviously, this is actually going to be their second game with new manager Matt Taylor. They got him from Exeter, who's done absolute wonders, taking Exeter from the depths of League Two, and they were in League Two for 10 consecutive years, actually, and now thriving in League One, what I dare say as well. They're within the top half, and it's definitely got Exeter pushing way above expectations as well. It's going to be interesting to see how he fits the Rotherham mould, and I think likewise with many new managers, I think of Mark Fotheringham as another example with Huddersfield. He's definitely going to be needed time just to implement his ideas within the team, and I think results will improve. They did have a 1-1 draw against Millwall midweek, where quite similar to how they were under Paul Warne, honestly, starting well and then just conceding later on within the game. In terms of predicting this game, Rotherham don't lose many games, but Blackburn's home form has been really good this season. They've won their last 2 home games there. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Blackburn win. I think they might be able to get a win there, but only just. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Blackpool versus Watford. This is also a tough one to predict for me because Blackpool, especially at home, I actually think have been quite unlucky not to get as many points as they have done. In their last game, Blackpool, they were involved in a 0-0 draw against Sunderland, which you may think is not a bad result, but considering that Sunderland are really struggling for goals right now since their top 2 strikers are suffering with injuries, it's not really a good result for Blackpool. It could be a result that really does harm them, right at the end of the season. They face a Watford team where I can't really base how I feel about Watford since it's only been 2 games since Bilic took over Watford as their manager. And at the moment, they've been inconsistent. I mean, they had a really good away win against Stoke, their first away win of the season, and then they followed up with a 2-1 home defeat to Swansea. I mean, it was a very bizarre game, and it was another example of just Swansea just completely turning the game around in very quick fashion as well. Bango actually scoring that late goal there. So, Watford being quite inconsistent, Blackpool just underperforming. As a prediction, I think I'm actually going to go for a draw in this game. It wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw again. I can't really make my mind up between these 2 teams at the moment. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Coventry versus Burnley. This is intriguing as well. So Coventry have actually been on an unbeaten run. They've not lost in their last 4 games. However, 3 of those games actually out of their 4 have been draws. And they are actually further away from safety since Middlesbrough managed to win in midweek. They're now 5 points off safety now, and Blackpool are currently a team just above the relegation zone in the moment. So Coventry got to be a little bit careful that they don't be a bit too complacent and just rely on draws to try and survive. They definitely need to try and get a winning streak together, which I think they're capable of, I think, with the squad that they've got, especially if Callum O'Hare starts getting consistent minutes again for this Coventry team. They face a Burnley team where they themselves have actually quite struggled a little bit to get wins. Only 1 win in their last 5. They've actually lost the less games out of any championship team, but they've actually drawn the most games as well. Them and Preston have been the only 2 teams to have drawn 7 out of their 12 games so far this season. So I think that's been the biggest weakness for Burnley. They've just been drawing way too many games. But however, having said that, I think with the attacking quality they've got and the fact that I think Coventry, whilst they're improving, I don't think they're quite the finished product as of yet. I do think, missing chances for Coventry has just always been a big problem for them. I think if Burnley score early, I think it'll be a really good result for them. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win to Burnley. I think it's going to be really, really close. I think either 1-1 or a 2-1. I wouldn't be surprised for 1-1, but I'll back Burnley just to bounce back here. But let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Millwall-Middlesbrough. So this is interesting too. Millwall, of course, as I said, got that draw against Rotherham in midweek and have been quite inconsistent with their form. But one thing that has been really consistent actually has been their home form. Middlesbrough, away from home, have not been great. They've only picked up 1 point in their away games so far this season, which is actually the 2nd worst away form in the entire league at the moment, actually. And in fact, it's actually a joint worst now, because since Huddersfield actually picked up their first away point in their midweek, both them and Middlesbrough have got one away point now. So if they're not careful, Middlesbrough will have the worst away form in the league if they don't get a good one here against Millwall. But I think for the fact that Millwall still have a great quality within them, I mean, Zian Fleming, just what a player he's turned out to be. He scored a brilliant goal against Rotherham to actually get that equaliser. I'm actually going to go for a 1-0 Millwall win. I actually think with their great home form, I think they might be able to edge it. Middlesbrough is just going to be a very unpredictable team, considering that they've not got a permanent manager in to replace Wilder yet. So they're currently technically managerless at the moment. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 Millwall win. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Norwich versus Preston North End. So Norwich having a bit of a negative result, as I've just mentioned with Reading. They were involved with that 1-1 draw. And I think they were quite disappointed. They took the lead again, but missing many chances. And had they not missed those chances, definitely Norwich would have got something in this game. But a relief for them is actually they closed the gap onto Sheffield United. But they did have a missed chance. They were briefly at one stage top of the Championship since they actually conceded that equaliser. The top of the Championship has gone back to Sheffield United. But it's a Preston team where they could definitely be very frustrating in the way they play. You know, in terms of the very few goals that goes in all of their games, they definitely continued that at the moment. If they were to score first, Preston are probably going to be one of the worst teams to try and get something against. But if you score early against Preston, then it almost feels like one of the easiest teams to play up against. And Preston don't really have that in-between factor at the moment, which they really need to strike that balance. If they do not score first, they have a good amount of quality to get back into it. Or if they score first, that they continue to be really tough to break down. As a prediction here, I'm going to go for a Norwich win based on their attacking form. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Norwich win. I actually think Norwich could be okay with this because I just don't see Preston scoring, unfortunately. So I'm going to go for 2-0 Norwich. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Stoke versus Sheffield United. So two teams in red and white, and this particular red and white team in Stoke have just been very inconsistent at this stage of the season with Alex Neil, and it's very difficult to potentially say, is he going to be the right man to potentially get them into a good state in the Championship table? I mean, he did manage to get a draw though against Burnley, which they may consider as a good result actually. They do have to face another red and white team in Sheffield United. Whilst they've been really good, Sheffield United, in their last two games, they've only picked up 1 point out of 6, which is definitely a cause of concern for me, especially for how good they've been and how consistent they've been. It looks like now they're starting to teeter a little bit, you know, cracks are starting to show. And honestly, I think if Stoke actually perform to a really good standard, I actually think it'll be really difficult here. And I think what Sheffield United could happen is that they could underestimate Stoke, and Stoke will actually relish that because Stoke can really surprise teams. As a prediction in this game, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw actually. I'm a bit undecided within those two teams at the moment. I think Stoke have actually got the capability of getting some, so I'll go for 1-1. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Swansea versus Sunderland. Swansea, I've got to say, are picking up some great results right now. And considering at the start of the season where it looked like the same old story of them just starting the season slow and they're just going to have to wait till the second half to grow back into it, it looks like Swansea are now starting to get their good form back like right now, which is a really good time for them as well. It's 3 wins in a row, and because of that, Russell Martin is nominated for Manager of the Month, which I'm not surprised about. You know, it's a brilliant achievement that Swansea managed to turn around, you know, this quickly. It's 4 wins out of their last 5 games as well. And their only defeat was against top of the league, Sheffield United, and it was only a 1-0 defeat, which was scored in the last minute as well. So Swansea looking pretty good. Sunderland at the moment definitely looking pretty frustrated at the moment. So they've had 3 draws in a row for them there, and 2 of them being 0-0 draws in a row, which they're definitely feeling the repercussions of not having Stewart or Ellis Sims up front. It's going to be intriguing to see if they can potentially get something against a Swansea team which could be quite open at times. But if Swansea score early, they are one of the worst teams to try and get something against. As a prediction, something tells me, because Sunderland are not scoring many goals at the moment, I don't think it'll be very high scoring. I think they'll definitely prioritise trying to get potentially just a draw in this one. But I think the attacking quality Swansea have, I think it will edge it. I'm going to go for a 1-0 narrow win to Swansea, which will be 4 wins in a row. So I'm going to go in the way of momentum. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Next game to predict is West Brom Luton. Is it taxi time for Bruce? I mean, I thought it was taxi time when they lost to Preston, but by recording this now, he is still West Brom's manager at the moment. And unfortunately for them, whilst their squad on paper just looks really good, they've just really underperformed, unfortunately. And this was definitely adamant with their 1-0 defeat to Preston as well. They had all that time to try and get at least a goal to get back into this, and they couldn't score, you know, in the 84 minutes that they were just trying to chase that game. And that's a real concern for me. Now, in their home games, I actually think they've been a little bit unlucky quite recently. They've lost their last 2 home games by 2-3. And I definitely remember the Swansea game in particular being quite an unlucky one for them, with them being 2-1 up. Then they missed the penalty to potentially lead further, and then Swansea get back into it, and then Swansea win as well. So very tiny margins are making a really big difference. But defensively, I just don't back West Brom this season. And Luton can definitely score some goals. I mean, Luton definitely have got an improved mentality for the fact they fell behind twice against Huddersfield, and probably quite unexpectedly as well, in the way that they managed to make it a 3-3 draw in the end. Goes to show this Luton team has definitely got a really strong mentality, and they are competing right up there. Luton, a good result for them, could potentially see them in the top 6 if results go their way. As a prediction, I can't back anything else at the moment from based on what I've seen for a Luton away win. I'm going to go for a 3-1 away win to Luton, which is devastating for West Brom fans to hear, but I just have more confidence in Luton at the moment, so I'll go for a 3-1 away win. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Wigan Cardiff. Now, I won't lie, I look at this game and I do not see many goals whatsoever. This Wigan team, in terms of midweek, they didn't really produce a result that they really would have wanted as well, losing 2-1 to Hull City. So they'd have been definitely very, very disappointed with that result, and I think they took the lead as well in that game as well. So they definitely lost out in a really, really big way, unfortunately for them in that moment there. Cardiff, of course, they got a great result against Blackburn. Although, having said that, it didn't look like that they weren't particularly attacking the whole way through, but what they did show is that a good reliance on Callum Robinson to create some really good chances and to potentially stretch some defences as well. He'll be their most important asset to get something in this game. Now, Wigan at home have not been really, really good. I've got to be honest. It's their home form, Wigan, that's really, really letting them down at the moment. A majority of their points have come in away games, and Wigan actually have the worst home record in the league and have been the only team not to win at home all season. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a draw, I think. I'm going to actually say a 0-0 draw. As I said, you know, right from the start, I don't see many goals in this game, and I think it will deliver on that. So I'll say 0-0. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. The final game to predict is Huddersfield and Hull. So this is the chosen game for Sunday. Huddersfield, of course, have already got a new manager in Mark Rotherham. Hull, as of recording, have not got one yet, but they have been linked with a good number of people, and I'm going to be very interested to see how Hull are going to perform. I mean, obviously, you know, they played one of their first games with Shorter Alvarez, you know, not managing anymore. Of course, the night of his sacking, they lost 2-0 to Luton, but then they followed that up with a brilliant comeback win over Wigan Athletic, actually. So we'll see if that really good momentum carries on to this game. And Huddersfield, I think, have slightly improved, but I'm still not convinced of them defensively, and I think that is going to be a really big problem coming into the rest of this season here. So both teams not doing well defensively could mean plenty of goals, but it could also mean that both of them try and improve that certain area just so that they can use their attacking momentum to get something. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, actually, in this game. I think both teams will cancel each other out. I just don't back Huddersfield to potentially get the job done here. I think Hull are good enough to get something in this game. So I'll go for 1-1. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So guys, that is my predictions done. And by the looks of things, my mic has not gone wrong. So we've got a video. That is a huge sigh of relief. I hope it's bedtime, but it's still 1:30 and I've got to still edit all of this. So wish me luck, guys. I'm going to feel like a really bad wreck tomorrow. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, please give the video a like. It just really help the growth of this channel. Please do hit the subscribe button if you're not done so. It does really help as well. And please also share the channel too. All of this really does help. Thank you guys so much for watching, guys. I'd like to do this on the end of this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.